Right. Can you hear me all now? Can y'all hear me? And
I can watch chat. That can be my job.
okay. So I'm gonna just do that. I got my mic now, so is this better? Hello, testing. Right. Can you hear me? There we go. Now? Can y'all hear me? All right. So the first team we're gonna start with is the. Wait.
Because otherwise it's going to cause hella feedback.
So the first team we're gonna start with is the New Jersey DeVille Plumes, coached by Endless Gadgets, and the team consists of round 1 pick Garchomp, round 2 pick Greninja, then Alolan Ninetales, Empoleon, Iron Moth, Uxie, Talonflame, Skuntank, Primeape, Trevenant, and Raichu, with the Terras being Primeape, Fighting, Fairy, and Water, and Raichu being Electric, Water, and Ice. What do you think of this team, Chris?
I like Garchomp. Garchomp's good. I like Garchomp, Greninja, and Talonflame. Some good early Gen 6 vibes. Yeah, I think it honestly looks a little rough on the defensive side. I don't see many switch-ins to things. You have Uxie, and nothing really has recovery. So that would honestly stress me out if I was Endless. But on the offensive side, it's completely the opposite story, and definitely a very scary team and lots of opportunity for momentum and hazard stack.
Yeah, for sure. This team, unfortunately, does not have any removal, because Skuntank lost Defog, and Empoleon may still have it. I actually don't know that off the top of my head, but because Skuntank lost Defog, it's a little unfortunate there, but this team needs to be the one setting hazards so that the sweepers can get in and break. Up next, we have JV's team, the Atlanta Victinis. His logo's kind of small. Let me scale that up a bit. Okay, so this team consists of Dragapult, Glamora, Galarian Zapdos, Milotic, King Gambit, Iron Bundle, Gliscor, Ursaring, and then the first Terra captain is Lilligant with the Terras Grass, Fire, and Rock. And the second Terra captain is Ampharos with the Terras Electric, Fairy, and Dragon. So, Chris, let's hear your thoughts on this team.
Fuck Gliscor, dude. That Mon, I don't like that Mon ever. I always lose to it. So it's probably a good team. Okay, yeah, but talent. Okay, wait, I gotta respond to these comments. They're talking about the recovery on Endless's team. Apparently, Wish Raichu and Roost Talonflame are gonna be the walls that he needs this season. So that's chat's always right. That's one rule about streaming I do know, even if I haven't done this.
Yeah.
But back to JV's team. I'm honestly, if I were playing it, which I won't be because I'm not in this division.
Playoffs.
Well, yeah. Well, I probably won't make that shit, dude. I don't know. For everyone who is watching, I have not played like barely any Gen 9. So I played like the GBA Draft Tour, and I've played some OU. I know what the basic stuff is, but there's still like two things most games I play, I'm like, what the fuck is happening? So this is a team that probably, like, I don't even know what the hell Iron Bundle does, and Dragapult is good, and it wasn't that grass Pokemon, but I have been swept by Terra Grass types in this gen, so that just already gives me tangential PTSD. So
he got swept by the other Lilligant.
yeah.
But yeah, so Galarian Zapdos got knockoff with the DLC, which is pretty big with Defiant. It does suck that with both King Gambit and Galarian Zapdos, even though King Gambit will mostly run Supreme Overlord, it does suck that there's no Sticky Web option with this team, because between Galarian Zapdos and King Gambit, that would have been really nice. With Defiant, the weeks you would want to run Defiant on King Gambit over Supreme Overlord, which very fringe chance. And then basically, yeah, Iron Bundle, almost nothing switches into the combination of Hydro Pump and Freeze Dry. And overall, I think this is a great team, a very solid team. So up next, we have my team, and my team is very good. Okay, so I got, with the third overall pick of the draft, I got Iron Valiant, and then I have Iron Treads, Baxcalibur, Meowscarada, Clodsire, Moltres, Slowking, Dunsparce, and then my Terras are Electros, which I opted to give Electric, Water, and Ice to, and Dusknoir, which I opted to give Ghost, Fairy, and Fighting to. Chris, do you want to comment on my team? I can't say much because I'm clearly biased.
Sure. Yeah, no, I would agree overall from my experience playing in OU. I played a lot of matches using those first three exact mons together as kind of like the central pieces of bulky offense. I also use Slowking with Regenerate a lot. It was a Galarian Slowking usually in OU, but still I think that mon pairs really well with that offensive core, and especially in this gen, and this is something that I know we've talked a little bit about in a couple of the MBC calls that we've had, but in this gen, like compared to previous ones, Hazard Stack is very different and less reliable, and the whole tempo of the gen being a lot more offensive. Having one of those really good spinners like Treads that like is not a minus on your team every week, or you're not just bringing just a spin and can actually do 3 or 4 other things that can help you positively win a game, I think is going to be a big thing. And it's not that, Treads isn't the only one, Tusk and a couple of the other ones that are like that, but I do think the teams that have that setup will be at an advantage most weeks because their 6 slots won't be as pressured.
Yeah, for sure. And we also have things like Slowking chilly receptioning into Baxcalibur, setting up the snow for it. And Baxcalibur got Scale Shot with the DLC, which is a really nice addition for it. That is actually why it was banned from OU, because of Swords Dance plus Scale Shot. And even though I don't have the Alolan Ninetales Endless does, I still have ways to get Baxcalibur in under snow and go crazy with it. And the other new addition I want to mention with the DLC was Iron Valiant getting Vacuum Wave. Having priority on a very fast mon that its biggest weakness was that it got revenge killed is a very big deal. And I cannot wait to use Iron Valiant with this new toy. So, yeah. I feel like my team is definitely a force to be reckoned with, and I'm not just saying that because I'm incredibly biased. All right. Next up, we have Gravy's team, and this is a pretty scary offensive team. This consists of Spectrier, Infernape, Ursaluna, Fezandipity, Mandibuzz, Jirachi, Lurantis, Haxorus, Clawitzer with the Terras being Water, Dragon, and Steel, Spidops, and Alolan Golem with the Terras being Rock, Flying, and Water. So, my thoughts on this team is Spectrier, very broken. Good fighting type to pair with Spectrier and Infernape. Infernape also got a lot of buffs with the DLC, knockoff, Aura Sphere, Fake Out. So Infernape's really nice to pair with Spectrier. You always want a strong fighting type to pair with Spectrier. Spectrier getting Draining Kiss in Gen 9 makes it all the more threatening because now it can actually deal with dark types somewhat effectively. And then Ursaluna, also just really, really solid. And Pheasantipity, I get it. New Toy Syndrome. Pheasantipity might be one of the worst new mons. However, it still has a pretty good move pool. Mandibuzz, great for defogging. Mandibuzz, lost nothing. It kept defog, it kept toxic, it kept knockoff, it kept U-turn. And it kept Roost, all moves it really needed. Jirachi, Wish, good utility, and then Lurantis, Haxorus, Lurantis got superpower back, I believe, which it didn't have at the start of the gens, so superpower, very nice addition for it. Haxorus, Scale Shot, really good, and I see the sticky webs there to kind of support this team a little bit, and then both a really offensive special attacker and a really good physical thing in a Alolan Golem. I think this is a pretty well-rounded team. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. The speed tiers are solid, a good mix of offense and defense, some pretty solid bulk on both sides of the spectrum. And yeah, I definitely agree with what Goldo is saying in the chat too. I think that Hazard Stack is significantly better than before. I think that having a grounded poison type on your team, you're just in a rough spot if you don't have that, because having removal of the most annoying hazard without needing to waste a turn and possibly get hit with something is actually a huge asset. And so on that, I think Mandibuzz is a decent defogger, but I would consider that I don't think this is I don't think it makes it a bad team, but I do think that the defog would be one of the weaknesses, relatively speaking, for this team. And I would say one other thing, I do think there is a bit of a ground weakness. Again, there is the Mandibuzz there. But yeah, I guess, and also because of just kind of, I do think this team, Pheasantipity has good bulk, Jirachi has some bulk, but I think the other thing this team could lack is a little bit of reliable bulk, and I think we will be seeing probably Mandibuzz and maybe Mandibuzz and Pheasantipity get really pressured a lot of weeks. But if they can hold up, then I think Gravy's offense will carry him through most of the time.
Yeah. All right. Up next, we have, honestly, if I'm not being biased, this is my favorite team of the Malice Division drafts. This is Ellie's team, and it has Palafin, Iron Hands, Goldango, Noivern, Screamtail, Arcanine, Cleavor, Hisuian Quillfish, Greedent, Torterra with Terra Ground, Fire, and Water, and Cryogonal with Terra Ice, Electric, and Fairy. So I have a lot of reasons why I like this team. First of all, this team has one of every type, no type overlaps. That's pretty incredible to do. And secondly, it has good hazards, good pivots, like Cleavor. Stone Axe is a very broken move. It attacks you and sets up Stealth Rocks. That move is broken. And then Hisuian Quillfish, great spiker. With the Eviolite and Intimidate, it's pretty bulky. Screamtail's an amazing support Pokemon. Wish, Baton Pass, Encore, Rocks itself. And then you have amazing breakers in Palafin, Goldango, and Iron Hands. Noivern has a faster pivot. It has good speed tiers. Then you have Arcanine. And then you have two of the best Terra users, in my opinion. You have Torterra, which just recently got Shell Smash with the DLC. So Torterra with ground, fire, and water. That's going to be putting a lot of pressure on teams. And then you have Cryogonal, which ice, electric, and fairy. Terra Electric Cryogonal has no weaknesses because of Levitate. And that Bolt Beam stab is very, very strong. It has Recover. It has Rapid Spin. I think Cryogonal is an insane Terra user for exactly that reason. And Fairy, just always a good defensive option. And Chris, what do you think about this team?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think it's a strong one overall. I think going off the last point that definitely Cryogonal is a good Terra user. And I think in general, a lot of the strong Terra users, especially when you're using the kind of limited Terra system that we have, are some of those faster monotype Pokemon that don't get a lot of coverage, and in previous gens you might have picked them late in the draft, but they would be filling a pretty niche role. I'm thinking of things like Jolteon and some of the other evolutions or things like that. And Cryogonal definitely is in that group that massively benefits from being able to get powerful moves just outside of its stab that complement its coverage that otherwise it wouldn't be able to get. And I think one other thing I don't think you mentioned necessarily, well, maybe briefly, but having Torterra as the other Terra user, I think that is definitely, as Frandy's saying in the chat, that's definitely one of the stronger Terra users that we have allowed as well, in my opinion. And really lets Torterra do something that it wasn't able to do in other gens with the combination of Shell Smash. So that'll definitely be pretty fun, and I'm excited to see how it plays out.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I personally think, besides my own, that this is my favorite of the drafts in this division. So moving on to the sixth one. Oh boy, we have Zangoose's team, which is a very scary Sun team. He has Great Tusk, Walking Wake, Chi-Yu, Landorus Therian, Slowbro, Rabombi, Ninetales, Rotom, Swalot, and Komala. And the Terra users are Hisuian Avalugg, which its Terras are Rock, Water, and Fairy. And Leafeon, which the Terras are Grass, Fire, and Ground. So, Chris, do you want to talk about the Sun team, or should I say something first? All right. So, this is my week one, spoiler alert, and I'm terrified because Great Tusk, Walking Wake, Chi-Yu in the Sun is crazy. Chi-Yu was banned to Ubers within a few weeks. That mon is insane in draft, even in, I had it in WPF, which was my first Wi-Fi league, and, that thing is just insane. And Zane got it round 3 here when he already had Great Tusk and Walking Wake. So this is going to be a very scary team. I personally, I'm not sure how I feel about Ground as a Terra on Leafeon over Rock, but because Rock kind of hits the things Leafeon otherwise struggles to hit. For example, like Moltres and stuff like that. But I guess Hisuian Avalugg does have Rock as its Terra type, so I guess that makes up for it. But overall, I think this is a very scary team to contend with. I know that I'm a little bit terrified of building against it because this is the team I'm facing off against in week 1. So it looks pretty scary, and it has 2 good Rapid Spinners in Hisuian Avalugg and Komala. I think this is a very good team. It has Sticky Webs. I believe Swalot gets Toxic Spikes. Anyone in chat can correct me if I'm wrong. Oh, it has 3 good spinners. I forgot about Great Tusk as a spinner.
I was gonna say,
it has the best spinner, and I just forgot about it.
My first comment was gonna say, I don't think Komala and Avalugg are good spinners, but Great Tusk is pretty good.
Yeah, they're decent spinners, and Kamala's job checks Spectrier, so, like, I see why it's on the team. And Chris, why don't you talk more before I forget anything else?
Yeah, so this team's interesting to take a look at. I mean, I don't disagree with anything Will was saying at all. It's definitely a team that if I was playing in a past generation, looking at this, and like thinking about those metas, I'd be like, this team is absolute garbage. There is no switch-ins with recovery. Everything is just checks. This thing is going to get torn apart by any kind of like solid balance or bulky offense. But obviously this gen is very different, and I think that this is a team that certain weeks you could see it have trouble, especially dealing with some setup mons. Like, one thing I also did want to notice that this team struggles a bit with rock types, dragon types, and ghost types. There's only one switch in for each of those, so like spam from powerful attackers in those types with the lack of recovery would be something I would be quite worried about. But other than that, I think there's absolutely no weaknesses on this team, and it's definitely geared towards that Gen 9 more hyper-offensive, soft checks for everything kind of play set, which I think is a lot more effective now than it used to be and much more of the standard.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Moving on to pick 7 out of 12 of the Malice division, which this is A12 QSD's team, and A12, he was infamous for not having very, I don't want to say strong looking drafts. Let's say it like that. But A12, he knows what he likes. It works for him. He's always a good player no matter what. So let's look at the team. We have Ursaluna Blood Moon, which is phenomenal. That mon is crazy strong. With the ability Mind's Eye, it can actually hit ghost types with normal type attacks, which is insane. Then we have Galarian Slowking, which T-Spikes can also set Chilly Reception for Beartic. Really nice additions to that, as well as Scald, and just overall really, really solid offensive pressure mon. You know, it got Sludge Bomb, it got Future Sight, or at least I think Galarian Slowking gets Scald back. I might be wrong on that.
I'm looking
that
up.
All right. Chris is about to correct me if I make another mistake, but
no, it's educating the masses.
Yeah.
Me, because spoiler alert, I drafted that mon and I want to know if it does not get Scalds.
Oh,
that's unfortunate.
Regular Slowking did, so that's why I was confusing it. Then we have Zapdos, which did get Hurricane last gen. I haven't played too much Gen 8 with Zapdos, so I was playing during Gen 8, but not a whole lot of experience with Zapdos, so Hurricane Zapdos is still kind of new to me. And then Cinderace, Great Mon, Court Change, fast physical attacker. Libero did get nerfed a little bit, that it can only change the first time you use it, so it is a little bit nerfed from last gen, but it did get Swords Dance, which kind of makes up for that. Then we have Annihilate, which Rage Fist, Broken Move, and the only thing that switches in is Hisuian Zoroark. The only thing that switches into the combination of those dual stabs that actually is immune to them. Vaporeon did get Scald back. That I know for a fact. Vaporeon got Scald back. It has Calm Mind now. It has Wish. It has Acid Armor. It has Stored Power. Calm Mind. That can be absolutely disgusting. Then we have Cyclizar, which Cyclizar I think is a great utility pick with knockoff, Rapid Spin, U-Turn. Even without Shed Tail, I believe this mon just provides really, really solid utility. So I like the Cyclizar pick. Galarian Weezing, I'm not super high on it, but It has Levitate, it has Neutralizing Gas, both really good abilities, and then the other one is Misty Surge, which I don't think anything on this team particularly benefits from that, but then Appleton, we've been seeing General Tar Heel pop off with that in the GBA, so Appleton, that's what I've been seeing from Appleton, so I'm really curious to see how A12 will use it. Apalm, okay, Apalm seems like a very A12 thing to pick. I have no idea how he plans to make that work, but I feel very excited to see it. And then Beartick, one of the Terras, and with the chilly reception that the Galarian Slowking sets, it's going to be a monstrosity to face against because A12 is a very good player, even if the team maybe is not my favorite. Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think A12 is A12. And I think if I wanted to just try to be funny, I could leave my comments at that. But I'll say a couple other things instead. One is, Ursaluna's scary. I will say, unlike a lot of the other teams that we've looked at, I actually really, really like the bulk that we've got going on here. With Regenerator, Slowking, it also gets Slack Off. You have Wish on Vaporeon, Roost on Zapdos. So I could see, especially given how uncommon that more balanced playstyle is this gen, that this team could actually surprise a lot of teams with its ability to kind of stick around and hang in there and deal effectively with its hazards, with having the Slowking Galar, which that's the other thing, like I mentioned with the poison types. It's great to have a poison type, but a lot of times, especially if they're lower tier mons, the poison types are not mons you want to bring every week. So you might be bringing your poison type for toxic spikes, or at least kind of doing that. You're never going to be doing that with Galarian Slowking. So that's definitely really nice. Those are all the nice things I have to say. I think that the offense on this team, Ursuluna and Blood Moon's going to hit really hard, and Libero is fast. And Annihilape's also going to hit a little hard, but overall I still think it's kind of lacking compared to what other teams are going to be bringing, especially the speedier side of the offense. After Cinderace, the fastest thing that can hit hard is 90, and I could definitely see that causing some problems. And then the only other thing that does just pop out huge is having Annihilape as your only stealth rocker and having no spiker. I could see that putting A12 at a lot of structural disadvantage in matchups, but I could also see this team giving a lot of teams problems in an unconventional way as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I do want to point out one thing just as we were talking. The only dark type on this team, so the only thing that resists Psychic, is the Terra Dark Appleton. So that could leave this team a little bit vulnerable to stored power sweepers. So yeah, something to definitely watch for if you're A12 or playing A12. Yeah. Moving up next, we have Goldoa Dragon's team, and this is a doozy. He's got Urshifu Single Strike, Manaphy, Scizor, Clefable, Landorus Incarnate, Mesprit, Tatsugiri, Regieleki, Hisuian Typhlosion with the Terra's Fire, Water, and Fairy, Go-Goat with the Terra's Grass, Water, and Steel, and finally Sudowoodo with the Terra's Rock, Grass, and Fairy, and Grafaiai as well. This team is pretty scary. So, Urshifu Single, Landorus Incarnate, insane offense. Urshifu got Swords Dance this gen. Landorus Incarnate got Nasty Plot this gen. Scary. And then it has good removal, Scizor being one of the more reliable defog options now because there's not a lot anymore. And then both Regieleki and Tatsugiri getting Spin. Clefable, always a monstrosity. It didn't lose that much. It lost Teleport, but that's not really a huge deal, I think. Hisuian Typhlosion, a very scary Terra user. Manaphy got that new move, Take Heart, which makes it extremely broken. Take Heart is like a mixture of Calm Mind and Refresh, which just makes Manaphy that much better. Grafai has Prankster Parting Shot. Really, really scary team, and I'm terrified to play against it. Chris, anything you want to say about this team?
Well, I have a question first, because I don't know these mons, but is it Grafai or Giraffari?
Grafai.
That's some dumbass shit. I hate this.
This
world. What does this world come to? We had trash Pokemon. This is I hate that. I have no other comments.
It's Graffiti and II like the lemur.
Okay, I have no other comments on this team. Manaphy's good. Fuck Game Freak.
All right. So seems like Chris just rage quit on that one. All right, moving on. We have Jetman's team, and Jetman's team consists of Ogerpon Wellspring, Hydreigon, Okidogi, Hisuian Zoroark, Vikavolt, Enamorous Therian, Heatran, Donphan, Lycanroc, Grumpig with the Terra's Psychic, Rock, and Fighting, Murkrow with the Terra's Flying, Electric, and Normal, and Glaceon with the Terra's Ice, Ghost, and Ground. So, this is a pretty interesting team to me. Ogerpon Wellspring, very, very cool mon. I know that's something that it hits really hard. It checks Palafin, which not a lot does. It checks most Palafin sets, let's say it like that. Then Okidogi, another really fun Numon, and like I know I definitely wanted to try it, so my only real concern with this team is besides Hisuian Zoroark and Ogerpon, which are both base 110, this team is and then Lycanroc, which I believe is 113, I don't know, off the top of my head. 113, 115, 116, something like that. And it has a Cell Rock, but 112. Okay. But other than like Vikavolt with Sticky Webs, I think this team's just a little slow, and that's my only real gripe with it. Like, Donphan's still a good spinner. Murkrow might still get defog. It does. There we go. Hydreigon has Stealth Rock now. So does Heatran. So I think this team, other than it being a little slow, is still... It looks very fun to use between the Hisuian Zoroark, the Ogerpon Wellspring, and the Okidogi. And it has its types covered pretty well, so I like that about this team. But yeah, my main gripe with it is that it's slow. Chris, what do you have to say about this team?
You stole my comment about the type coverage. That was what I was going to lead off with. But yeah, this team maps out its resistances very, very well. I feel kind of similar about it as I do about A12's team. It's not, I wouldn't say it's not quite as unconventional, and I think its hazard utility setup is a little bit better than A12 had. But just in terms of the quality bulk that this team does have, I think that that's going to possibly catch some teams off guard. And there is really good resistances to everything. I think the only rock spam is the most annoying thing against this team, and there's fucking Donphan. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah. All right. Now we get to number 10, and this is Quinn's team, the Coal Valley Cobalions, and they picked Hisuian Samurott round 1, copying Pokeaim from PPL. I see with the round 1 Hisuian Samurott now, but this one, very good. Ceaseless Edge, best move in the game, not even close. And it also got knockoff and flip turn with the DLC. It already had knockoff, but it got flip turn with the DLC. And it has things like Aqua Jet, Sucker Punch, really nice pick. I haven't seen it go first overall a whole lot, or first round, but I can't at this point disagree with it not being a first round pick. Tornadus Therian, Sneasler, both great offensive pieces. Sneasler Dire Claw is still very scary because it has a 50% chance to hit you with one of those paralysis, sleep, or poison. And then Torn got knockoff back with the DLC, which is really nice for it. Ogerpon Cornerstone, very interesting mon. We were just talking about how the last team weak to rock spam. Well, Ogerpon Cornerstone has Ivy Cudgel, which is the most reliable rock move in the game. It's base 100 with 100% accuracy and a high critical hit ratio. Imagine Stone Edge, but it doesn't miss. That's what this mon has, and that is very, very scary once you think about it. I love Sandy Shocks. Stunfisk typing, except it's good. It's a good mon, and you're not just drafting it for the things that Stunfisk did in older gens. Then you have Bramblegast, which got Poltergeist with the DLC, making it an actual threat. Like, Bramblegast with Rapid Spin, Spikes, Poltergeist, and Power Whip thing can be really scary. Whim Rider is actually a very good ability. You see both Torn and Bramblegast on this team, so it's actually funny. Bramblegast is one of the best Torn checks in the game, so Quinn did take that, and only other mon with Wind Rider is Shiftry now, so overall, pretty good pickup. And solid hazard remover because it can both rapid spin and spin block. Bronzong, good budget steel type. Not much else to say about it. I'm not a big fan of Salamence. I never really was, but I think it's a pretty fitting dragon type onto this team. Delphox, I think, is one of those scariest Terra users. Fire and Fairy makes for really, really sick combinations. And Terra Grass Solar Beam with Power Herb, and then you use the Magician to steal their item. That's like a very, very scary thing as well. And Bruxish. So, I'm not sure if Chris remembers this, but Bruxish, CPC Season 4. Techno, first pick Bruxish overall, first overall in the draft. He won that season. So, Terra Bruxish, that is something to cower in fear over. Wigglytuff and Hisuian Zoroark, both solid budget picks for what they do. Hisuian Zoroark can just, with all the immunities it has, can just switch into things undetected, and that's really nice. And then Wigglytuff, just a solid 2-point rocker Wishmon. But yeah, that's really all I have to say about that team. Chris, if you wanna.
I think that getting. It's interesting. I think that taking a mon like Hisuian Samurott first is honestly a lot less bad in a 12-person draft than in like a 16-person draft, because you're really just like guaranteeing you get something you want, and there's still going to be quality undrafted mons at the end. So I don't really think you're penalizing yourself too hard. And overall, like I have a lot of good things to say about this team. The hazard stack is going to be annoying as hell. And I think that's one reason to pick the Hisuian Samurai, is it is the only mon that can attack well and put up hazards all within one move. And unlike Will, I'm a huge Salamence fan. I've been a fan of it in every format I've played within it. I think the different things you can do with it, whether you need something bulky or something super offensive on either side of it, is really, really good and has great type coverage. And yeah, I really don't have many negative things to say about this team at all. To me, it looks really strong and a good balance of bulk and offense. And yeah.
All right. So, moving on to the second to last team of the Malice division, we have Gunk's team, which consists of Ogerpon Hearthflame, Corviknight, Roaring Moon, Mamoswine, Gengar, Sylveon, Quaquaval, Gastrodon, Electrode with the Terra's Electric, Ice, and Fighting, Indeedee with the Terra's Psychic, Fighting, and Fairy, and Noctowl with the Terra's Flying, Fairy, and Ground. So, I really like this team a lot. Like, Ogerpon Hearthflame with, like, a strong water and, like, Quaquaval, I think is really good. Corviknight is probably the best defogger, and Quaquaval is a good rapid spinner as well. Gastrodon having access to spikes and stealth rocks. Mamoswine getting a little buff now that Trailblaze exists, and loaded dice for the Icicle Spear Rock Blast sets. And then Roaring Moon got knockoff with the DLC. I think this team is very, very solid. Electrode and Noctowl, both two great low-tier Terra options. Noctowl with Tinted Lens, and Flying Fairy and ground coverage. It can hit pretty hard. And then Electrode with ice coverage can actually, like, run through a team pretty much. Just having that Bolt Beam coverage and really nice for Electrode. I know Electrode's not the best offensive threat, but having that as, like, something to, like, you know, just set up screens and pivot out with, really, really good. Indeedee, I personally don't know much about Indeedee other than it sets psychic terrain, but giving it fighting and fairy coverage seems really good. Gengar and Sylveon, both great mons. The only thing that I have to say about Gengar is I kind of wish it still had Levitate, but now Gengar serves the role of a grounded poison to remove toxic spikes, so that helps it a lot. And Sylveon, Great Wish mon. Chris, what do you have to say about this team?
I'm honestly not the biggest fan. I would love to be proven wrong. I'm not trying to be a hater at all, but I do worry a little bit on the offensive side that I don't think a lot of those mons are necessarily breakers, especially in Gen 9 terms. I think it's a lot of clean. Yeah, I see what you're pointing at, but, like, well, the first mon maybe, but freaking Roaring Moon is much more of a setup mon. I don't think it's a genuine breaker, in my opinion. And maybe it'll eat my lunch in the day's division, and I'll be proven wrong. But I could just see this team struggling to break through offensively, in my opinion. Will's laughing at me, but I genuinely do think that this team could struggle because I think it will require possibly setup or, like, getting the conditions exactly right for those mons to work. That's just my opinion.
There's a Mamoswine right there.
Yeah, okay, give me this shit. Mamoswine's not as good of a breaker as it used to be, because this is the thing that I'm saying, especially in this type of format. Okay, I actually have opinions here that are not trash. Especially in this format with how much more offensive so many mons are. A lot of times Mamoswine is going to, like, click Ice Shard, do 12% to something, and just get fucking O-code. And that's just the reality of it, and I've experienced this trying to play with Mamoswine in gens even past Gen 6, and it just struggles to do anything other than, like, set up rocks once and click Ice Shard once. And I love Mamoswine. It's actually one of my favorite Pokemon, and I will never pick it in draft again.
Okay, we disagree on this one. But no, I see where Chris is coming from. Maybe my head's still in the gutter. I love Gen 6, so maybe I'm stuck in Gen 6.
I love Gen 6, and I'm not trying to... I could be wrong. Like I've said, I have not played much Gen 9. My analysis could be shit this whole stream for that reason, and I will eat my words happily. I'm definitely not the type of person to keep arguing back. Would love to be proven wrong, but yeah, I'm not a fan.
All right. Now we're going to move to the last team of the Malice division. And after that, we're going to take a quick break so that we can get the Days division visuals. Little inside info for you all. I was in charge of making the Malice division graphics, and Chris was in charge of making the Days division graphics. So we're doing the stream from my laptop. So we're just going to have to take a quick break to get the other visuals ready for you guys. So let's move on to the last team.
What Will's really saying is I didn't finish doing them in time, and so I'm doing them while he talks about the teams. And I'm almost finished, so we're fine. But
all right. Lastly, we have Kurt's team, and this team, it has some scary things, Monkey Dory, Enamorous, Hisui and Gudra, Urshifu Rapid Strike, Mew, Rillaboom, Mudsdale, the Dunsparce, Alolan Muck with the Terra's Dark Fairy and Ghost, and Bayonet with the Terra's Ghost, Normal, and Fighting. So, Monkey Dory, Great Mon, Parting Shot, hits pretty hard, has two okay abilities. Toxic Chain is often better than Frisk, but I like Frisk in a Wi-Fi format because having the knowledge of what item your opponent has is very useful. You can, write it down. So I personally like Frisk. Enamorous, Great Mon, one of the only few fairies without having to Terra that has ground coverage, so I really like Enamorous in that regard. Urshifu Rapid Strike, I personally think now in this gen is the better Urshifu with Swords Dance and Punching Glove added, with Trailblaze and Wicked Blow being nerfed. I personally think that the water one is better now. So yeah, really threatening Mon. Alolan Muck, I believe, was max points to Terra, so really scary Terramon with Fairy and Ghost coverage going for it. I don't like Mew as much as I used to because it doesn't have reliable recovery anymore. You can run Rest, you can run Life Dew, but neither of those are the same as Rooster Soft Boiled. So Mew now, it can do less. It still does a little bit of everything except recover, which was a big thing it's known for, but it still has all the hazards except Sticky Webs available to it. Rillaboom got Grassy Glide with the DLC back. It's solid revenge killer. It still has knockoff. It still has U-turn. It did lose high horsepower, but superpower and Woodhammer, just really, really solid breaker. Mudsdale, not the best ground type in the world, but I see it definitely has its merits. And I love Hisui and Gudra as well. As both the steel and the dragon type, though, kind of meh. I do like the fact that Enamorous and Hisui and Gudra build the Fairy Dragon Steel core in just 2 Mons, but I'm still not completely sold on that Mon. I do like the Dunsparce, though, because it's just Dunsparce, but better. And I was always a big, avid Dunsparce enjoyer, so it has Boom Burst, and then Bayonet with normal and fighting is definitely interesting, and I think this team will be a lot of fun, and I think that's what Kurt was going for. He wanted fun with the first pick, Monkey Dory, and second pick being Enamorous, which was his mascot, so I think he was going for fun, and I think this is going to be a fun team to watch and play against. Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I think this team is I would put it in the group with A12 and whose other team was that I said was Jetman's team, where I think that it's not something that I would draft at all, but I don't mean that in a bad way. And I think that the bulk is really solid and above average for what most teams have in this gen. And I think, like you, I'm not the biggest fan of Mew, but it's at least usable now with the update because of some of the moves it did get back. So I'm excited to see what he can figure out with it. And yeah, there's lots of good utility in lots of different ways with this team. I definitely do like it overall. And Muck being the ground and poison type that also has T-spikes that you actually want to bring in a lot of weeks is, I also think, really strong.
We will be back for the Days Division drafts in a minute. Or not a minute, but in a couple minutes, or by a couple, we'll be back when we're back. All right. We'll see you guys then. right now. It's not. Stream's a little bit behind where I'm at. All right, folks, we are back. I might take a minute to just set things up.
think so.
Oh.
Because there was no one talking in the chat.
Okay. We're back, people.
They should have asked if they could. They should have texted if they could hear us.
Yeah. We might have to go back to Bishmi's team now.
Yeah, we can just be super quick.
Okay, we are back. We have Chris leading on this. We're gonna talk about Bishmi's team.
Wait, yeah, just want to check in. Can someone type? Can you guys type in the chat if you can hear us?
The stream is on a little bit of a delay.
Well, I know, but we still want to wait because if there's something else wrong or something, I wouldn't want to go launching back into it.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm tired too.
That's why. Coffee and a nap, we'll be good to go.
Good idea to drink coffee before your nap.
It works. I can usually still fall asleep. I rarely get enough sleep, which means I can fall asleep.
Yeah. How long were you out for last night?
5 hours.
God damn.
What do you mean?
Well, oh no, I was talking. Like, did you think I meant sleep or?
Yeah, like passed out for.
No, I thought you were out.
No, I didn't go out.
5 a.m.
No. I was just like chilling out there because like I was just hanging with Trey, making sure he was good for a while, and then I just like went and gambled for like an hour.
Yeah.
Chilled in the casino. I didn't do shit last night. Huh. Can you hear us, Gran? Will, we were trying to go, and then Will turned the audio off. I turned my audio on though, and it's not.
Yeah. There's a bit of a stream delay, but
Gran's saying I hear nothing. We're typing. If they still can't hear us, then it wouldn't.
Well, it's also like just a massive delay. It's still on your team, and I put it back to Bishmi's. Oh, it's on Jakuri's team now. Yeah, there's still like a massive delay before I caught anything, so it's still.
I understand how I understand how a stream delay works. I know.
Yeah.
That's one nice thing about Twitch. There is still a delay, but it's like seconds. That's why I turned my audio on my computer though, so we can check.
Yeah.
Totally worst case, we could just record a day's video and upload it.
Yeah.
Like we could chop up the other one and then upload it.
Yeah.
To this one.
It'll work. It's still just behind. We
No,
should
I
be
know.
talking.
I'm just saying that. I just want to make sure before we keep going with it.
Yeah.
Because this is gonna be because then this will be recorded, so we could edit this too. So I just want to make sure.
I don't know how to say VODs.
It doesn't auto post.
It might. I don't know.
It's how it does on the streamers that I watch on YouTube. They auto post right when they finish. Like, he actually doesn't even upload videos in his video feed. He just he live records podcasts, and then they're just his VODs, and that's how you watch him. So now we're on the right one, but we're still not getting anything.
I went back to Bishme's when I plugged the mic in, so it should be on Bishme's team now.
Oh, I didn't realize you were still on the stream.
Yeah. Oh. Okay. We're back, people. Yeah.
Okay, let's roll.
All right. Sorry about all the audio trouble we were having. We were on a bit of a delay. Anyway, let's get back to Bishme's team. Chris, I'll have you go over that.
Yeah, so with Bishme's team here, got Odra Pontiel, that's that non-existent sprite at the front. Then Corviknight, Komao, Basque Legion, Clefable, Ursaluna, Magnezone, Weavile, Altaria, Typhlosion, and Glimmet. My thoughts about this team was I could really see it going either way. There's aspects I like a lot. What?
Terras.
Okay. I like the defensive core of it a lot. Weavile got a lot better this time around. Altaria and Typhlosion being the Terra Pokemon. I think those are interesting picks. I think Typhlosion in particular can do stuff with its coverage it's going to get through grass and water Terra types that Bishme has chosen that it wouldn't normally be able to break through some stuff. But I think this team will depend a lot on how Odra Pontiel turns out. If that works well, then I think this team will be a success. Otherwise, I could see it having some trouble.
I totally agree. Odra Pontiel gonna be interesting to see. I know Bishme did originally draft Ogerpon Hearthflame, but first overall, but then dropped it for Ogerpon Teal. So really hope that Ogerpon Teal ends up showing why this team is good. And yeah, up next we have Chris's team. Which is this one. Chris, why don't you talk us through your team?
All right. So I got Excalibur, Walking Wake, Slowking Galar, Shandy Shocks, Annihilate, Sylveon, Talonflame, Heracross, Sableye, and Sandslash Alola. I'm very, very hyped about this team. I think it's going to be really strong for me. I think the offensive firepower is there. I'm really happy with the bulk I am able to get. I'm really happy that all of it has recovery. I think Sableye and Sandslash as my lower tier mons are going to be able to put in some work. Sandslash on the offensive side, Sableye on the defensive side. Those are my Terramons as well. Probably will almost never Terra Sableye, so probably is functionally just Sandslash, but hey, who knows? And yeah, I honestly could see myself making some changes possibly. The Annihilate slot in particular. So any coaches watching, I really like it on my team, but that just is the thing I could be most open to changing. If you really want Annihilate, send those trade offers my way. We could maybe work something out, but maybe not. But yeah, overall, I'm very happy with it.
Yeah. So my gripes with Chris's team, I don't love the fact that there's no Sunsetter for Wake plus Shocks, but I do like Dragon Spam, honestly. I mean, like I said, I'm not a big fan of type overlap in general, but I I think with Double Dragon, it's pretty good. I've won a championship with Double Dragon before, with Como and Dragapult, so I know that Double Dragon's very strong. And I'm currently doing really well in another league where I have Roaring Moon and Reggie Drago. Once again, Double Dragon. So I believe Double Dragon is one of the best overlaps you can have. So I think Chris's team is definitely interesting for sure. You got Baxcalibur and Glow King. So I think it's going to make for a really cool team. And yeah, excited to see what you do with it. All right, up next we have Jakuri's team, and this time we have audio when discussing it. All right, his team consists of Dragapult, Iron Treads, Enamorous Incarnate, Urshifu Rapid Strike, Heatran, Rillaboom, Hisuian Electrode, Alolan Persian, Knucklestack, and Komala.
Yeah, this team is pretty scary. Electrode is another example of one of those mons I was talking about earlier that benefits a lot from the Terra option. It was such a weak mon that could not do jack shit before, except click Thunderbolt and do 30% to everything. But with that extra coverage, allowing it to do Bolt Beam, it's going to be able to be a lot more useful and top off the speed tiers for this team. I think one of this team's strengths is that it has bulk, but then also high speed tiers and solid offensive mons, especially that Dragapult, which is going to let it counteract a lot of offensive mons that normally would be trying to threaten the team's bulk. And I think, I just think that the team's offensive mons complement each other really well in Urshifu and Dragapult, and also complement the team's bulk really well. And I'm excited to see how this team performs.
All right. Up next, we have Fist, I believe. Yeah, that should be right. Up next, we have Fist's team, which consists of Garchomp, Iron Bundle, Goldengo, Meowscarada, Azumarill, Braviary, Espeon, Oricorio, Swalot, and Iron Hands.
And the Terramons are, as you can see, Braviary and Espeon.
Terra types.
Okay. All right. You take that for a second.
Okay. Let's see. The Terra types. Let me check real quick. Are Terra types are Flying, Fighting, and Electric for Braviary, and Psychic, Fire, and Fighting for Espeon. So I really like this team. It has some strong, both physical and special offensive breakers. Once again, Iron Hands, pretty insane mon. I don't think I talked a lot about it on Ellie's draft, but I noticed that both Ellie and Fist both have Iron Hands plus Goldengo, which is a really nice core to have. And then Garchomp, Iron Bundle, Meowscarada, and Espeon and Braviary just making amazing Terra Caps. I think this is definitely one of the teams to be reckoned with in the Days Division. And Chris, if you want to talk.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this team gives me nightmares, especially just the Garchomp. Garchomp is terrifying Mon, and then also now like allowing it. I think the biggest thing is how much better it got as a lead when you add spikes to it, and how much more freaking annoying that is when then on top of it it can play its versatile roles it normally can. I'm a huge Golden Go fan. I haven't honestly used Iron Bundle at all. And I am definitely prejudiced against it because as someone who hasn't played a ton in Gen 9, that shit just looks like a Delibird, so I don't trust it. But I do think that this team is really good. Though, this is an example of, I feel like, someone grabbing a Grounded Poison as one of their late Mons and Swalot, where, like, I think most of the time you're not going to want to bring Swalot, but especially in a matchup, if like Espeon's not a good switch into their poison or something, like you might want to bring it even if it's not ideal as a whole. But overall, I like the team a lot. Garchomp's scary.
The reason you haven't seen Iron Bundle much is it's in Ubers. All right, let's see. What's up next? Number 5. That is... Number 5. I can't find number 5. Did you send number 5 to me?
Yep, it's Q.
Oh, Q. Oh, it's below all these. Because P, then Q.
Yeah, you should. I would sort it by time down. That would be really good.
Okay, Q's team is up next with Roaring Moon, Ogerpon Hearthflame, which is the unknown sprite you see there, Terra Torterra, Manaphy, Slitherwing, Azelf, Serena, Ninetales, Electrode, and Galarian Weezing. And the Terra types are...
I think we haven't been saying them. We didn't say them for
yeah, I did for Malice. Oh. So, the Terra types for Q's Torterra are Ground, Electric, and Rock. And for Electrode, it was Electric, Grass, and Normal. So, yeah. I'll hand it back to Chris to talk a little bit about Q's team.
Yeah, so this team, I think, again, it's one of those teams, the early Ogerpon pick. It's going to really kind of depend on how that Mon goes, but I do really like the Fire, Water, Grass with Ogerpon, Torterra with Terra and Shell Smash and Manaphy. It's very unconventional, or feels that well to me, but I think that's going to be a really fun, like, setup, heavy, powerful offensive core that can give teams some troubles, and all of those Mons have a decent amount of bulk. Well, is Ogerpon bulky? No, not really. Well, Manaphy and Torterra have solid bulk, so I think that'll go good. That being said, I do think this team is very much a bulky offense, and I could kind of team. There's not really anything with recovery, and so I could see in games that go longer, if they're playing teams with more recovery or support, that this team could, if it doesn't get its setup moves off, struggle to break down and have the staying power with those teams. But if there's a Shell Smash or a Tail Glow happening, it could just not matter.
Yeah, I think Q's team is terrifying. Like, I see the Roaring Moon, the Slitherwing, Under Sun. I think that can be really, really terrifying. Ogerpon Hearthflame Under Sun. I've laddered in Ubers a bit with Ogerpon Hearthflame Sun. That goes insane. Like, that Mon was banned from OU in like 2 or 3 days. So I think, coupled with Sun and the Terra Torterra as well, like, I think this is probably my favorite team of the Days division from what I've seen. So coming up next, we have the 6th team, which is Dashing Sceptile's team. And his team consists of Iron Valiant, Jirachi, Milotic, Noivern, Glimora, Mamoswine, Zarude, Delphox, Noctowl, Grotle, Wigglytuff, and Rotom. The Terramons being Delphox, which is fire, grass, and fairy. The Noctowl is flying, fairy, and steel. And the Grottle is grass, fire, and ice. Alright. Chris, if you'd like to talk about this team.
Yeah. I got the 2 Torterra Terras back in a row, basically, with Grottle. So that's kind of fun. Yeah, there's another Mamoswine. That's another, sadly, not going to do anything all season. But jokes aside, I really do like this team. It gives me some fun Gen Stick nostalgia, I will say, though, which makes my heart happy and my brain worried about how well it will work, only because my experience in Gen 9 draft was picking things that I liked in Gen 6 and then getting absolutely destroyed. But I like Milotic a lot. Definitely just becomes usable again with Scald. Can be a total menace. Very annoying to break down. Jirachi is always annoying, and especially if you are using it at all creatively, can be really amazing in a lot of different situations. And I like there's some solid offensive pivoting available to like help get Iron Valiant in to do the damage it needs, and Glamora is a very solid hazard setter and poison type. So this team, especially with the Terra Delphox and the hazard stack and the Noivern, looks like it's going to be hyper offense with a couple of bulky pivots. Milotic gets flip turn, right? Does it or no? It looks like it should, so that's why I'm saying that.
It did in Gen 8.
I'm looking now. I'm looking. Because if it gets flip turn, it does. Okay, yeah, that's awesome for this team. This is the kind of team that, like, I would be worried in Gen 6, actually, with Milotic slowing down the momentum that this team's going to want to generate. But with it having flip turn, it's going to be a great thing to come in, soak up damage, get your attackers out of there, and then pivot back into what you need to get into.
For sure, and a lot has already been said about a lot of these Mons on this team. Zarude, most notably, I don't think it was drafted in the other division, but it got knockoff, which is huge for it. And so I think that's the only thing that really stood out to me that we haven't already covered with other teams. So yeah, we're going to move on to Grand's team, and I'm going to be right back. I'm going to take a bathroom break, so Chris is going to cover Grand's team.
All right, so in Grand's team here, we got Torn T, Great Tusk, Hisuian Samurott. Didn't go first pick in this draft, unfortunately. Screamtail, King Ambit, Skeledirge, Electros, Ursaring, Shaman, Muck, and Sudowoodo. This team is going to be really, really, really freaking annoying. I'm not saying it's going to be bad at all. But I feel much more confident in saying this team is going to be annoying than it's going to be good. I think it could be a great team. I would love to actually draft a team like this at some point. It gives me a lot of ideas. And why am I saying all of this? Because this is hazard stack with all the momentum, and it's just gonna come in. Grand's gonna get the hazard set up with Samurott, and then with the combination of Electros and that Torn T, it's gonna get really, really annoying. Those two combine really well together to get around and pivot, and having really good hazard removal on your own side with Great Tusk. I think this team is gonna succeed when Grand has hazards not on their side and is forcing switches, and if that's happening, whoever Grand's opponent is in massive trouble.
Right. Yeah. This team also looks very terrifying. I'm a little biased towards the Terra Electros. Grand and I definitely discussed draft plans, and we both ended up with it. So, yeah. I like the team. Let's move right on to the next team, which is number 8. That is, oh,
It's Frandy.
Frandy. Okay.
Yeah, I can read it off.
I can't find the graphic. I did an oopsie. Okay, short oopsie on the graphics. There we go. Frandy. Okay. Oh. We have a bit of an issue.
What's that?
This.
I don't know enough about OBS.
Yeah. We're just gonna do that.
So I'm gonna start calling it while Will goes here. Frandy's got Palafin, Cinderace, Tinglu, Zapdos, Gardevoir, Silazar, Copperjaw, Sinistra, Hisuian, Sneasel, Dondozo, and Glalie. Just while reading jumped out at me. I really like Hisuian Sneasel as a Terra. That's low-key spicy. With Fighting, Electric, and Dark. And then the Sinistra is the other Terra user. That's also the blank mon on the screen. That one didn't come through yet. With Water and... What is that other type? See, I don't even know what these are.
That
is that ice?
That is steel.
Steel, see? Oh, that's rough. But okay. This is the Palafin team. That's where we got to start. That thing is just going to make a lot of other teams struggle, including mine. And then on top of that, I really like the Zapdos and Gardevoir as Pokemon that are in that medium speed zone, are bulky, have good offensive stats, can play a lot of utility roles, but also can slap on a Specs or a Scarf and just kind of F shit up. Copperjaw is a good steal, better than Alolan Sandslash as your only steel type, so that's a dub. One thing that's better about this team than my team for sure. Overall, this team just looks annoying. There's not a ton of powerhouse offense other than the Palafin, but I'm not sure you need it. And just like the amount of bulk and utility combined with the strong Palafin and the Cinderace to come clean up, and then a lot of bulky offense and balance mons, it seems like a pretty well mixed team in my book.
Yeah, I think this team definitely has some versatility to it. You got things like Tinglu to set hazards, the Fire, Water, Grass Core, and Palafin, Cinderace, and Sinistra is pretty cool. Then Zapdos, always a good mon, and yeah, I personally love Dondozo. I think Dondozo would be a great Terra user, but not in this league because we're only allowing the lower tier stuff to Terra. So, all right, let's move on to number 8, which is... Oh, wait, no. Number 9, which is Lily's team.
And Lily's got Landorus, Therian, Brute Bonnet, which is Terra with Dark, Fire, and I believe that one actually is... Oh, no, that is Steel again. Oh, I was about to say that one is really ice. Landorus T, Brute Bonnet, Torkoal, Chi-Yu, Regieleki, and Amorous Therian, Quaquaval, Gengar, Lurantis as the other Terra user with Grass, Fire, and Electric, Probopass, and Chansey. Why did we let Chansey be only 7 points?
It's not good.
I don't know, dude. That Chansey is annoying, dude. I'm for. We should build a point system where annoying mons are taxed more than good mons. That would be how it'd be run. But okay, all jokes aside, Torkoal plus Chi-Yu. Fuck that. That's gonna be annoying. Landorus T ground spam gonna be annoying. This is another team that looks annoying to me. Really decent hazard removal with the Quaquaval, and the Torkoal can do some of that.
And Regieleki.
And great hazard setup too. So between the weather and the hazards and Chi-Yu, this team is, I have said annoying like 12 times. My only critique is I think Gengar as the only mon that fits more of the cleaner role. I could see that causing some issues. But other than that, really, really solid on the whole.
Yeah, I really like the Quaquaval plus Chi-Yu plus Gengar offensive core. Lando T is the worst it's ever been because it lost knockoff, but it's still very good mon. And yeah, Lily has one of the more interesting teams with the round 2 Brute Bonnet, but I'm excited to see what she does with it. All right. Coming up next, number 10, we have Gallade. And Chris, why don't you take this one?
So Gallade, this is my week 1 opponent, so I've been staring at this team a little bit in the past couple days. There's Urshifu, Spectrier, Iron Moth, Rotom Wash, Scizor, Gliscor, Glastrier, which is Terra with Ice, Ground, and Electric, Regidrago, Daxpun, and Bombardier, which is the other Terra with Flying, Fairy, and Fighting. Will, why don't you start off with your thoughts on this one?
Okay, so I noticed that there's both of the Gen 8 horses there, Glastrier and Spectrier, and Glastrier is a terrifying Terra Captain. Once again, Spectrier needs a very strong fighting type to break for it, and I think Urshifu is just that. And you have Iron Moth, and Scizor, which just beat the fairies that Urshifu loses to. I think this is a very, very well-built Urshifu team. And also, Iron Moth and Scizor also help beat fairies for Regidrago to perform. And yeah, all you're missing is Regieleki, and then you drafted all of the DLC legendaries from Gen 8. So yeah. Other than that, I like the Rotom Wash and Bombardier both, and Scizor. Just solid Volt Term, Parting Shot. Good stuff, good pivots, and Doxpun's probably the best Chi-Yu check in the game, which is amazing. And yeah, overall, just really well-rounded team, makes use of Urshifu really well. And Chris, why don't you weigh in?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's really solid on the whole. It's annoying. I honestly, the only reason I'm not saying more is it is my week 1 opponent, and I wouldn't want my commentary to possibly be interpreted as things I'm considering. But because I already have some things in mind. But overall, yeah, I'll say what's annoying about it, because that is what I like to talk about. Freaking U-turn Volt Switch core of Scizor, Gliscor, Rotom just gave me some kind of cancer. It's rough, and I think that plus with the Urshifu Spectre combo Will mentioned, and the ability to get hazards and toxic spikes up, just promises to be very annoying. This is another team where I think hazards on both sides are going to be very, very important in most of the games. I might have said too much already.
All right. Up next, we have the 11th team, which is arguably Arts' team, and Arts has 2 question marks. Those are Ursaluna Blood Moon and Ogerpon Wellspring.
Yes.
Ogerpon Wellspring, and then Infernape, Diancie, Girder, Fortress, Rotom Frost, Dusknoir, Galarian Slowbro, Lycanroc Dusk, Morgrem, and Dragonite.
Sorry, I zoned out for a second. Did you say the Terra types or no?
No,
Okay, cool. So it's Girder with Fighting, Steel, and what's this other one? See, this is no good. You can't have me reading these. I'm so bad.
Fighting, Steel, and Normal, and the Rotom Frost is Ice, Water, and Fire.
Okay, I could have got the Ice, Water, and Fire, but what that Normal type? See, that's how you know Normal is such a boring type that you can't even make a symbol for it that's recognizable to a dumb motherfucker like myself. Okay, enough BSing. This team terrifies me. I just wall breaker, spinner, get my hazards away, pivot around with stuff. That seems to be the vibe. Because it can't Terra, there's last pick Dragonite here, which at least for pick order is some crazy high value. And yeah, with the lower tier mons, I like that, like, at Fortress, Rotom Frost, and Slowbro Galar, those aren't, like, what you, if you're building a balanced team or even a stall-ish team, you would never build your core around that. But for budget options, getting solid, bulky pivots that can add value in other ways to your team is really solid, and I think complements the other sweepers and bulky offense mons that Arts has going on.
Yeah. All right. Here we're getting to the last and final team. Last but certainly not least is Mr. Carney Hobo's team, which consists of Mega Credilli, aka Ogerpon Cornerstone, Galarian Slowking? Wait, is that right? No, that's... Don't you have Galarian Slowking?
No, this isn't Carney's team. I mess up.
Oh, no. That is A12's team.
That there.
Which one?
Oh.
No, that's A12's.
Was that?
Okay, one moment while we get Carney's team figured out. Chris sent me the wrong team. So... Can you actually do that? I have to go to the bathroom again.
You're good, bro.
Alright, cool. I'll let you handle it then.
Here we go, Carney. I got you. We got you now. All right. Carney's legendary team, where I will ask no questions and only appreciate greatness. We have Ogerpon Cornerstone, Ninetales Alola, Mandibuzz, Clodsire, Lucario, Typhlosion Hisui, Vaporeon, Morpeko, Dipplin, Volbeat, Beartick, and Landorus. For Terras, we got Dipplin, which in addition to... Oh, gosh. That's another one I don't even know what it is. Yo, what the hell type is Dipplin? I won't ask you while... Okay, I did think that was Dragon, but I didn't want to assume. So, Dipplin has Dragon, Fairy, and Water. Volbeat is another Terra with Bug, Dark, and Poison. And Beartick is